Hey, this is Steve Jaffe. I'm a top producer in 2 programs, and I use webinars, guys, to sell products, to close people into my opportunity. It's been totally instrumental to my creating a multiple 5-figure monthly income. In this video, I'm going to teach you 8 tactics that are fundamental to maximizing results from your webinars. I'm going to start with a little bit more background about myself and my results, and then get right into the tactical training. So let's get right into it. We're going to get right into 8 webinar tactics that make the difference. Start with a little bit about me so you know who you're listening to. Again, my name is Steve Jaffe. I live in Austin, Texas. This is me and my girlfriend Jamie at a local football game. We just got back from a Caribbean cruise to go snorkeling in Cozumel, Mexico. Here we are hanging out on an amazing beach, private island beach, Roatan, Honduras. We also went ziplining in Belize. This is what's possible when you tee up your business the right way. I have been featured on 4 successive covers of a popular industry magazine where I have been a trainer on the topic of webinar marketing. One of my specialties, did a training called the $3,000 hour webinar formula. Another training on mass persuasion webinars. Also did a training on how to generate leads with webinars. Had a chance to be one of the invited speakers at an industry event in San Diego in the fall of 2013 called the Live the Dream event. Spoke on the topic of webinar marketing. Did my undergrad at Stanford University, got my MBA at MIT. Here's an example of what commissions look like when you start to get into doing webinars. Wanted to point out couple things here. Notice how it's $297 and $497 commissions principally. These are the price points that I tend to sell at on my webinars. I'll show you some more results in a moment. I am a top producer for a system called My Lead System Pro, marketing community, marketing system. Was member of the month in June of 2013. This is a program that's had 100,000 affiliates, and obviously they only choose 12 a year to be member of the month. I'm also one of the top producers for a program called Magnetic Sponsoring. Here's me on the leaderboard, number 3 all time for leads. I'm also an instructor for Better Networker, which is a social media site for home business owners. A lot of great trainers who are also Better Networker instructors, such as Todd Falcone, Ray Higdon, Diane Hockman, and others. Was a speaker for the Millionaire Marketing Mega Summit, fall 2013, spoke on the topic of webinar marketing. A little bit of feedback about my webinars, guys. This is the kind of feedback that you want to get. Let me just touch on a few of these. One of the very best presentations I've heard in the 14 years I've been in this profession. Best training I have ever had, been in this industry for 7 years. God bless you, great job, Steve. Wow, that was awesome. Thanks so much, Steve. My fingers are falling off from all the notes I was typing. My mind is now officially blown. Wow, Steve, what a presentation. Absolutely stunning presentation, Steve. Thank you. You want to be getting feedback like this, guys. And when you start to use the tactics that I'm going to teach you, this is the kind of feedback that might be your reality as well. Here's some praise from an industry leader, Brian Finale, who has done literally hundreds of webinars himself, has hosted lots and lots of top producers to do webinars. Jaffe is legit. It will do you a great service to get on here and learn some of his tricks. The dude is killing it on webinars. Steve Jaffe, my hero. Steve Jaffe is just a phenom when it comes to automating webinars. I typically sell products priced $297 to $497 on my webinars. And the relevance of that is, I want to just clarify, I am not selling, $30 offers or $40 ebooks. I am selling products, information products, $297 to $497. I also sell my opportunity with webinars as well. And historically, I have done 1 to 2 webinars per week. I just looked, and in the last year, I've done 60 webinars. My focus these days is on automating them. It's possible to automate your webinars so that you can reclaim your evenings. Very, very powerful. As I mentioned, my webinars often gross $5,000 to $10,000 per webinar. Looks like I have a little typo here. It's actually a good teaching moment. Guys, don't let the little things snag you when you're doing webinars. And if you have a typo, I mean, obviously you want to check your stuff. If you have a typo, don't make a big fuss about it. If there's some technical snafu, don't get bent out of shape about it. Your attitude should be that you are moving down the highway 60 miles an hour, and anything that comes up is just a mosquito that has been squashed against your windshield. Okay, do not let the little things derail you. Give you a little color on what a $10,000 webinar looks like. Did a webinar where I sold a $297 offer, and I had more than 30 sales. The first 18 sales, that's $5,346 in revenue, arrived in only 9 minutes. Okay, guys, and I sell products that pay out 100%. So when I close a $297 sale, I earn $297 minus the small transaction fee that my merchant account provider charges, my merchant bank charges, which is like a 3% transaction fee. So that was over $5,000 in 9 minutes. It'd be pretty cool to learn how to gross $5,000 in 9 minutes, wouldn't it? 32 more sales arrived over the next 2 hours, and then there were additional sales from there. This is what my inbox looked like. This is what your inbox can look like when you do webinars. This is from my merchant gateway, authorize.net. This happened to be a webinar October 30th, 2013. I like to use this as an example because this is the night before Halloween, and it was pretty busy that whole week, getting ready for Halloween, getting the costume together. My girlfriend and I, we had plans to go to a Halloween party, and trick-or-treaters coming the next day. And you can do webinars, guys, even if your life is busy once you get the skill set dialed in. So I had all these commissions come in October 30th. 1 through 20. There's 18 commissions here, and then these are all $297 commissions. You're looking at 18 commissions. Okay, this is 18 commissions came in on the 30th, just on this page alone. That's $5,000. Next page, results 21 through 40, same thing. These are just all commissions, all commissions. I did a different webinar earlier on October 10th, same thing. All these commissions flooded in. This is what your life looks like when you do webinars, guys, the right way. Webinars have the highest sales conversion rate of any medium. This is important to understand. Why webinars? Because webinars convert leads and prospects into sales more effectively than sales letters, more effectively than sales videos, and similar to selling from the stage. You will get similar sign-up rates and closing ratios with webinars as you will from closing and selling from the stage at a live hotel meeting. That's very, very potent. Very, very potent. This is a huge reason why I strongly recommend that you start to do webinars. They just convert like crazy. Why? Webinars are a scheduled event. And because they are a scheduled event, they receive heightened attention. The things that are scheduled in our lives, we give higher priority and more attention. Think about the last wedding you attended. You knew exactly what day that wedding was happening. You knew exactly when that wedding ceremony started, and you made sure to arrive at that wedding so that you were seated before the reception began. You didn't stroll in late, halfway through the wedding party, the wedding ceremony. Okay, you didn't stroll in halfway, 30 minutes after the ceremony started. You got there on time, most likely. You knew months in advance. The things that are important to us, we schedule. In contrast, because not all marketing out there is a scheduled event, not all marketing receives the same attention. For example, interruption marketing is marketing that literally interrupts you while you're doing other things, okay? Very, very different from a webinar. An example of interruption marketing is you're on Facebook and you see an ad on the right side of the page. You didn't get on Facebook to click ads, okay? Those ads are an interruption. Interruption marketing is you're at work, you get an email, click a link, and there's a sales video. That's an interruption. You didn't go to work to click sales videos, okay? So the big difference is a scheduled event, heightened attention. You have a captive audience, and you can set things up and influence and persuade your audience so they feel like your material is the only thing that matters. It's like Vegas. There's no windows, there's no clocks. They're totally dialed in. You can impel them into an emotional state where they are open and ready to buy. Selling is a process of impelling your prospects into an emotional experience where they are open and ready to buy. You can deliver a complete presentation on a webinar. Could be 60 minutes, could be 90 minutes, could be 2 hours. And you can sustain your audience's attention, 70 to 80% retention of your audience through the entirety of the presentation. That does not happen with a sales video. The dropout rate on sales videos is very, very high. If you have a 20-minute sales video and they just click a link from their email, because it's not a scheduled event, because it's interruption marketing, only about 10 or 20% of the people are going to stick around to the end of that video. Webinars signal an enormous level of authority and credibility. We are very psychologically biased to comply with authority figures. People like doctors, people like security guards, police officers, people in uniform. There's been a lot of experiments to show that people who we consider to be authority members were much more likely to comply with their requests. When you go to a bookstore, you see an author, or you pick up a book, you see the author's name, you assume that person is an expert, an authority on that topic. This is what doing webinars allows you to do. It creates the signal that you are an authority or an expert. They will assume that you know your stuff. And then this will allow you to sell and to close at much higher rates than if you just cold approach people. Doing webinars will increase sales of everything else in your marketing funnel. And it's because of the authority that webinars signal. You will, if you're signing up people into your opportunity on webinars and you're just doing a lot of webinars, you will also sell a lot more of everything else that you're selling. If you're selling information products, you'll sell more of that stuff. If you're selling a continuity program, you'll sell more of that stuff. Your conversion rates will go up among your, particularly online, okay? The reason for that is your prospects, the people on your list, your leads who are getting emails from you about the webinars that you're doing, when you do send them emails, hey guys, I'm doing a webinar, webinars tonight, hop on the webinar. Even if they don't attend the webinar, they're just going to assume that you know your stuff. Again, it comes down to authority. I have noticed this. This is not theoretical. I have observed this in my own business. Literally, almost to the day when I started doing webinars, the conversion rates of everything in my funnel just increased. Webinars allow you to achieve high conversion rates selling products $297 to $497 and up. This is game changing. It's very difficult to achieve high conversion rates with sales videos and sales letters at these price points. Okay? If you were to compare the closing ratio of webinars to sell at these price points versus sales videos, sales letters, as I mentioned earlier, you'll get much better results with webinars. Webinars are effective for these medium ticket price points and up. You don't need to focus on just selling $30, $20 offers, and $50 offers, and low ticket stuff. Low ticket offers you can sell with sales videos. Webinars, you'll make a lot more money selling the products at these price points. This is game changing. Webinars allow you to sponsor 9 to 14 people per month or more. 9 to 14 people per month, excuse me, or more. This is how leaders hit those high numbers. Okay, this is how I sponsor a lot of people, is with webinars. If you think about classic network marketing strategies of doing hotel meeting, for example, what you'll find is more people you get into the room, more people you're going to sponsor. Well, webinars allow you to obviously leverage yourself, so you don't have to fly around the country doing hotel meetings all the time. You can do it from home. Very, very potent. Webinars are the single fastest way to generate top earner level money. This is a major income booster, guys. This is not a small little side thing. If webinars are not core and integral to your business, I strongly suggest you reevaluate that. And by webinars, all the tactics I'm going to teach you, the 8 tactics that make the difference, they also apply to any online live event, such as Hangouts, Google Hangouts, which is kind of like a webinar. I'm talking about online live events. So if Facebook comes out with an online live event platform that looks kind of like a webinar and it looks kind of like a Google Hangout, and it's got social comments baked into the whole functionality. Everything I'm teaching you is still going to apply. Okay, it's not just for webinars, it's online live events. Let's get into the 8 tactics that make the difference. Tactic number 1, unique selling proposition. It is absolutely critical that you position the title and the topic of your webinar around a unique selling proposition. Let me unpack this for you. Your prospect is completely overwhelmed with invitations and faces event clutter. Training webinar invitations, team hangouts, opportunity webinars, team conference calls, 3-way calls, Super Saturday events, their company convention. They are constantly getting hit by email and on Facebook with invitations to all sorts of online events and offline events. Not to mention this other thing called life, right? They got commitments from their family. They got to take their kids to soccer practice, to the dentist. They've got vacation coming up. They've got to go visit family. They've got holidays coming up. You know, it's called life, right? People are busy. Your presentation absolutely must stand apart. It must stand apart, stand out from the pack, or else you're dead in the water. Your webinar is not the only game in town. Now, I'm going to describe what a USP is in this context. Everybody thinks they know what a unique selling proposition is because they've heard the term and they know what the words mean. But stay with me. There are nuances to this. It's all about the nuances. The first element of a unique selling proposition is that your webinar the title of the webinar must promise to deliver some benefit. It must signal that the webinar itself is going to deliver on some benefit. In other words, your webinar title needs to make an offer that they're going to get some benefit. The benefit must differ from what the competition is offering. It must be unique. It's not enough to just say, hey, I'm going to do a webinar and you're going to learn X. Well, X, whatever X is, has to be different from what else is out there. If they can just go out on the web and Google on that topic and find some course that's going to teach them the exact same thing as your webinar, you're dead in the water and your webinar hasn't even started. If they can just go out there and find some other webinar or hangout on the same topic, you're up the creek. More than that, it's not enough that you are making an implicit offer in the title. It's not enough that it's unique. It's got to be attractive. It's got to pull. It's got to move the masses to take action. So for example, suppose that you do a webinar on how to generate leads on Facebook in only 14 hours a day. All right, I'm being a little facetious here, but just to prove a point. Is there an implicit benefit? Yes. Is the benefit unique? Yes. There's not a lot of people who are framing things around how to generate leads on Facebook in 14 hours a day. But is it going to pull? No. It's not going to pull because people don't want to spend 14 hours a day on Facebook. Most webinars lack a USP. This is one of the biggest fundamental shortcomings in the way that webinars are being positioned today. And this is true of newbies, and it's true of leaders. Okay, I would say only about 10%, 5 to 10% of the people I see out there doing webinars understand this concept and are getting it right. I see leader after leader doing webinars that fall into this trap. Okay, most webinars lack a USP. People are doing webinars on topics like how to generate leads online, or how to get 1,000 Facebook fans, or how to earn $3,000 per day, or how to prospect better, how to close, right? How to sponsor more reps. These kinds of topics are valuable on some level, but they're too common. They're too common. Notice how each of these makes an offer that's been done elsewhere or just seems similar to other training. The point is this: it's not that you should not teach how to generate leads, or it's not that you shouldn't teach how to prospect. It's not that you shouldn't teach how to boost retention. It's not that you shouldn't teach how to achieve your goals, for example, it's that you must title and position training in a way that's unique. But what you teach on the webinar can actually be stuff that you have learned elsewhere. That's fine if it's solid, if it's good. But you've got to position things attractively. So your first task is to create a USP for your webinar. Express the USP, the unique selling proposition, in the title and in every other part of your webinar funnel. The registration page, the welcome page, all your emails during the webinar. You must constantly reassert this unique selling proposition. It is fundamental. Here's how you do it, how to create a USP for your webinar. Start with a basic idea and expand on it to include different angles, different hooks, if you will, that hit different audience desires and pain points. Keep rewording things until your webinar title sounds unique. It's an offer that no one else is doing. And then what I like to do is to preface your webinar title with a subtitle and separate it with a colon. Here's an example. Suppose the core idea is how to generate leads online. That's not unique. There's a lot of places to learn that. There's YouTube videos, there's webinars, there's Hangouts, there's products that teach this. In 2005, this was very unique. Now, this is very commoditized, very common. How to generate leads online automatically. It's a little better, but it's still familiar. The 100% automated way to generate leads online that literally pay you to show them the plan. How to generate leads on autopilot that pay you to show them your opportunities. That's unique. It's pretty unique. It's much more unique. And like I mentioned, you can create a little subtitle that you separate with a colon. The Buyer Leads Traction Blueprint. The 100% automated way to generate leads online that literally pay you to show them the plan. The Buyer Leads Attraction Blueprint. 100% automated way to generate leads online that literally pay you to show them the plan. Do you see how much more differentiated this is and unique from just how to generate leads online? Okay, guys, it is Boringville out there. It is Snoreville out there. Separate yourself from the pack by positioning your webinars around a USP. Tactic number 2, optimize your registration page for your webinar to maximize registrations. What you must do is you must customize your webinar registration page so it looks different and converts better than the norm. Most people out there are using the standard GoToWebinar registration page, and it looks like this. How to create a boring Me Too webinar with this same registration page and tired copy a zillion other clueless marketers use. Copy is words. Here are the bullet points. Learn how to write sleep-inducing copy that no one wants to read. Waste time and effort planning a webinar no one attends. Look, another bullet point that does nothing to get people to show up. This is the kind of webinar registration page that's so common out there. This will get you about, from your list, you might only get about 40% opt-in from this kind of webinar registration page. Here's what my webinar registration page looks like. Not fancy, but effective. I routinely get 50% to 70% registration on this type of page. Okay, compare that to 30 or 40%. That's a massive, monumental difference. It's got a headline. It's got a video. On the video, I will say something like this. Hi, this is Steve Jaffe. Enter your name and email below. Register right now for my webinar that I'm doing on Tuesday, January 7th. On the webinar, you're going to learn how to sponsor 16 to 27 reps per month, sell products at any price point with highly persuasive webinars, even if you're a newbie and have never done a webinar before in your life. Enter your name and email right now. I'll see you inside. It's as simple as that. Very simple, very clean. I routinely get a very, very high registration rate with that. Notice how the USP is asserted very prominently in the headline. Notice how this page looks totally different than this page. So right off the bat, I sound different because the USP is different and the page looks different. So there's differentiation already baked into the webinar funnel. Tactic number 3, Every registrant must get added to your autoresponder. You must capture the registrants as leads. So important. Okay, I actually use a script called Hybrid Connect that allows me to connect this webinar registration page to Aweber, my autoresponder. You can be very, very aggressive promoting your webinars to generate registrations and leads. You can be much more aggressive promoting webinars than you can be promoting your opportunity. I recommend that you email your list of leads twice a day leading up to your webinar. If you're doing a webinar on a Thursday night, start promoting it on Monday or Tuesday of that week. Email them twice a day leading up to the event on Tuesday twice a day, Wednesday twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening, and then the day of the webinar, you email them 4 times. I have tested this. Once in the morning, once 2 hours before with a headline that says something like, starts in 2 hours, and then blah, 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 the USP. And then in 1 hour before the webinar, starts in 1 hour. And then, here's the USP, and then when the webinar starts, we're starting right now. USP, okay? You got to get the USP in the subject line as well. 4 emails a day up. Be very, very aggressive. All those leads, if you're promoting on Facebook or on some other medium, you've got to capture those registrants as leads. That's how you maximize your ROI, guys. You've got to keep marketing to these people. Because not everyone's going to buy. But you've got to build a list. The list is an asset, allows you to monetize on all the people who say no to whatever you're promoting, so you can keep marketing to them. Tactic 4 is to aggressively maximize attendance. And the key word here is aggressively. Most people are way too whippy, they're way too weak-willed, they're just lame in this area. Okay, here's what people do. Once somebody registers for the webinar, they'll get an automated email from the webinar system that basically just confirms that they're registered. And that very often, that's all people rely on. They don't do anything once they've registered. Guys, you have to take the bull by the horns and get these people to show up. You should be picturing your registrant as if they're Jabba the Hutt, sitting on the couch. They weigh 7,000 pounds, and they're this big, blobbing mass. Bleh, bleh. Okay, that's your registrant, and you have to motivate that person to not only register, but to actually attend, stay attentive through the entirety of your presentation, and then pull out a credit card and buy or sign up. And you must do that aggressively. You cannot just rely on this whippy system emails that are like, you are now registered. Okay? Let me show you what I do. So as soon as they register, okay, as soon as they go through this page, once they click register me now, it refreshes to this page. They get added to my autoresponder, and it gets refreshed to this page. What am I doing here? I reassert the USP. Reassert the USP. This is actually from a different webinar than the other registration page, but the format's the same. And then the video, this is an autoplay video as well. Very similar to the registration page video. I will say something like this. You are now registered for your webinar. Add the date and time to your calendar. Add a sticky note next to your computer. Add a reminder on your phone. Commit to attending your webinar. Make that commitment. On your webinar, you're going to learn how to sponsor 9 to 14 reps every month, sell products at any price point on autopilot without prospecting, cold calling, or doing meetings. Guys, I have very limited seats. You must arrive early. I will see you on the webinar. And notice on the bottom, I say this webinar seats 100 people. I expect 150 plus registrants. 50% will get shut out. Arrive early to assure your spot. Okay, be ethical. This is true. You can use this very often. Okay, I use GoToWebinar very frequently. My webinar platform for one of my accounts has 100 seats. If I'm using that account and I've got 200 registrants, then I will, I'm very direct. I'm like, hey guys, there's 200 people registered. You might get blocked out of this webinar. You might get locked out. Get there early. Don't send the same boring emails everyone else sends. Okay, most people don't send any emails to their registrants. They just let the system send them an email that's like, webinar confirmation. You are registered. Here's the kind of email that people will send. Hey guys. So the subject of the email will be like, webinar is tonight! Exclamation point. Okay, no USP, nothing, just webinars tonight. And then the body of the email will say, hey guys, the webinar is tonight. It's going to be awesome. Hope you can make it. Okay, there's so many flaws with that approach. Number one, there's no USP. There's no USP in the subject line. And then the body of the email adds nothing. If the subject of the email says webinar tonight and the body of the email says, guys, webinar tonight, hope you can make it, what you've done is you have wasted the open. You got them to open the email and you wasted that opportunity to reassert the USP. They know from the subject line that the webinar is tonight. They got no new information from opening your email. So now your open rate for your emails is probably going to decline from those people because they got no value from that email. What you must do is reassert the USP in the subject of the email and in the body of the email include bullet points about what they're going to learn and take it even beyond that, okay? What I do is I will also send them an email the day of where I say, guys, the webinar is stacked with registrants. We got 250 people registered. If that's true, I will actually show a screenshot of how many people were registered. Then I will show screenshots, guys. My webinars are usually very popular. People love them. I will read to them a bunch. I will not read to them. I will include in the email screenshots of comments on Facebook from prior webinars where people really love my webinars, similar to the Facebook comments I read you earlier in this video. And then I'll say, guys, you've got a choice. You can make excuses about how life got in the way. You can make excuses about how you, quote unquote, don't have the time to get on the webinar. Let me tell you something, how you do anything is how you do everything. Leaders make the time. You want to get paid, be a leader. Okay, and then I go on and on. I say, look, you cannot afford to pass on this webinar. You cannot keep reaffirming the same stuck energy, the same excuse-making energy that's going through your mind. Be on the webinar. The exact same excuse-making energy that you continue to attend to related to this webinar coming up is what's keeping you broke. Break through that, pass beyond that. So what am I doing? What I'm doing is I'm positioning not attending as a character flaw. I'm getting very tough love and in their face. Because guys, you don't get paid by doing webinars. You get paid when people buy. And if they're going to buy, they've got to attend. You've got to take the bull by the horns and get them to attend. You can be very tough love in the home business arena. If you're targeting, if you're in other industries, not so much. If you're selling to lawyers and dentists and doctors, you can't be tough love with these people. They've got too much personal posture in their own industry. Okay, these are very highly educated, highly credentialed people. They don't want to hear your tough love approach. Home business owners, people who are working from home, who are mostly new marketers, you can be very tough love with them. Tactic 5, exploit influence triggers. This will become more clear as I go through them. Here are 5 known influence triggers. These have been identified by psychologists as triggers that get people to do stuff. One is authority. I already talked about authority. Second is social proof, or just to put a little more color around authority. Again, we are very psychologically biased to comply with authority figures. If they see you as an authority, and then you tell them to buy or to sign up, they will be much more biased to sign up or buy if they see you as somebody who's very credible, who's an authority. Social proof is the concept that if others think it's good, it must be good. Show screenshots of your results. Show screenshots of comments, feedback from people. This is a very, very potent psychological impact. Reciprocity. We're very psychologically biased to comply with, or to want to give back to people that have provided something to us, who have given us something. I use this. What I do is, about 10 minutes into my presentation, I say, guys, look, I've got a very fast-growing business. taking time out of my evening to train you tonight. In exchange, I ask for you to get off Facebook, shut down Twitter, turn off your phone, get off Skype, close the door, stay completely focused through the entirety of this presentation. That is a reciprocity ploy to get them to stick on the webinar and stay focused. Scarcity is the concept that things that are scarce are more valuable. This is the reason why people covet diamonds. Diamonds are a rock, guys. Only reason that they're priced the way they are is because they're scarce. That's it. Scarcity. Use this ethically. What I will do is I will offer bonuses. I will say, guys, if you buy this course for $297 tonight, right here, you just heard, this is at the end of the webinar. If you buy by midnight tonight, as a fast mover bonus, I will give you 2 coaching sessions. But guys, I only have 4 slots. I only have room to coach for you. Because it's true, I actually don't have a lot of room to do coaching. Okay, I've got a lot going on in my business. Use scarcity very, very ethically, but it's potent, guys. Okay, also urgency. Give them bonuses that expire midnight that night. Give them bonuses that expire. Finally, liking. People are biased to comply with people who they like more than they dislike. Be likable. Be real. Keep it real. Don't put on a business costume. Wear what it is that you wear. In other words, when you do your webinars, do 2 things. Number 1, get on camera, like I did early. Notice how that was deliberate. Show them you're a real person. Show your webcam for at least a few seconds, 30 seconds, a little opener, welcome people, at the very least. And dress how you normally do. Don't put on a business costume. If you don't wear a collared shirt at home around the house, then don't wear a collared shirt at home around the house. Wear a t-shirt if that's what you wear. I mean, I live here in Austin, Texas. It's casual. So I do webinars in, t-shirt, short sleeve shirt. I'm usually wearing shorts, shirt sleeve shirt, and maybe, flip-flops, because that's how we roll here in Austin. It's hot as heck here during the summer. Don't fake it. Just be you. Just be you. Show a little bit about your lifestyle, right? I showed you some photos of a recent vacation. Show them that you're real. And keep it light, I use funny voices on my webinars sometimes. Not like, all the time, but I might do something like this. I might say, if I'm teaching authority, I'll say, guys, people are psychologically biased to comply with authority figures. You just believe what authority figures tell you. Like, think about when you're flying an airplane, and I remember that when you're flying an airplane, when you're sitting there in an airplane, and then you hear, this is the captain speaking. We're about 20,000 feet. We'll be arriving into Chicago in about 17 minutes. And it's about 74 degrees. Wish you all the best in the rest of your weekend. And thank you for flying with us, right? You don't, it's not like people turn to the person next to them and are like, Sally, he just said that we're going to be there in 17 minutes, but I don't believe him. How does he know we're going to be there in 17 minutes? How does he know? Who is he to tell us that, right? So I might do a little funny voice like that. People love it. The combination, for me at least, of being, keeping it light, but providing a lot of value is very intoxicating for people. Okay, now if that's not you, then don't try to do funny voices because Steve Jaffe told you to. No, what I'm saying is just be you. Okay, just be you. Tactic 6: alleviate prospects' guilt. A lot of home business owners carry around a lot of shame and a lot of guilt that they have not achieved more results. A lot of network marketers have been in the industry for years and have never turned a profit, and they feel badly about it. I did when I first got into the game. Tell them it's not their fault. They'll be much more receptive to hear your message. Early in your presentation, say, guys, I know you've probably been struggling. Tell your story. Keep it short, but tell your story. Tell the before picture. Tell what you did to change, and then talk about the results you're getting now. But tell them, guys, if you have not been getting the results that you have been wanting to get, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You just have not been put on the path with the tactics that are a right fit for you. Guys, if your friends and family think you're nuts, that's totally normal. Welcome to the club, okay? People feel badly. They feel shame. They don't talk about it. They feel shame. Tell them it's not their fault, and they will become much more receptive to you. Now, honestly, guys, you've got to signal that you're on their side. That you're on their side. Inject passion and personality. Okay, I mentioned that a lot with a moment ago with concept of liking. Let me expand on this a little bit. Do not be a dead fish. Hey guys, this is Joe Smith, and on this webinar, I'm going to teach you how to generate leads. Leads are a very important part of business. If you don't have leads, leads are what you need. If you don't have, you're going to put people to sleep. Have a little juice, have a little mojo, have a little moxie, have a little swagger. Okay? You've got to step up and get some game if you want to start to make some money, guys. Have a little personality, have a little passion. If you're not into what you're teaching the wrong topics. Okay, your passion will be contagious. It's okay to share. This is not a corporate seminar. When you do webinars to sell in the home business arena especially, this is not a corporate deal. Please turn to page 24/A in your workbook. We are going to cover supply and demand curves. That's not the deal, okay? This is not corporate America. So, have a little juice, guys. Have a little juice. Now, what I do is I make sure that I've got my head in the right place before coming into my webinars. I will make sure that I'm fed, that I've eaten, that I'm not on an empty stomach. I've got a bottle of water next to me. I have a bottle of juice. If my blood sugar goes down, if I start to feel a little fatigued, which is rare because I really get into what I'm teaching. But I've got like apple juice, like something wholesome, so I can take a swig if I want to. Make sure you're rested and fed. Like one of my customers, I have a webinar course where I teach this in depth. He said, I like it. He's like, it's like you're getting your, it's like you're treating it like it's game night. Like you're a ball player and it's game night, and it's true. I mean, when you do a webinar and you have the expectation that you could generate, $8,000 in the next 90 minutes, you want to get your game face on. Not your game face. You want to get your game on, guys, okay? Finally, tactic 8, stop being a win. Stop being a win. What do I mean by this? What I mean is there's a lot of people who on some level know they could be doing things to make more money, like webinars, but they're not doing it. If you're scared, most people, they're totally freaked out by the prospect of doing webinars. And I got to tell you something. Here's the progression. When you start doing webinars, your first webinars might not be very good, and that's fine. Then after you've done a few, maybe after your fourth or fifth webinar, they might start to become mediocre. And then by your 6th or 7th webinar, they might be not bad. And then by your 8th or 9th webinar, they might be good. And by your 10th or 11th webinar, they might be very good. You'll learn a ton. Okay, you might be 10 webinars away from being very good at this. And if you do 2 webinars a week, that's 5 weeks. Okay, if you do 1 webinar a week, that's 2.5 months. So people who are like so fearful about doing webinars, all that really means is you just need to get like the crappy, terrible webinars that you're going to do out of the gate done and over with, so you can start to do the ones that are mediocre, and then get through those to get to the ones that are good, and then to very good. Your confidence will soar when you start to do this. You just got to jump in the pool and do it. You just got to jump in the pool and do it. And what happens is people get so afraid. They're so afraid they're going to do it wrong. They're going to make a mistake. What's the worst that can happen? The worst that could happen is no one registers. Big deal. All that means is you need more training on how to get people to register, and you probably need more leads. That's it. Is that so bad? No. All that means is, okay, I need to get more training on lead generation, generate more leads, and more training on how to promote webinars. That's doable. What if you get some people to register and no one shows up? Right? Is that so bad? Is that so bad? No. That's not so bad in the grand scheme of things. All that, congratulations for getting registrants. All that means is you need some training on how to get people to show up. That's doable. I know how to do that. Right? I teach my customers how to do that all the time. That's doable. That's all that means. It's not a big deal. What if you get people to register and you get people to attend, but nobody buys? Is that so bad? No! Do you understand if you get people to register and attend, even if it's like 5 people to register and 1 attendee, you are ahead of 99.9% of the people. And you're not far from making money. You are so close. You're so close you can smell it. If you're at that stage, you don't even realize it. Okay? But if you do a webinar and you have a donut, nobody buys, so what? All that means is you need to tweak things up a little bit. Maybe you need to change the positioning. Maybe you need more butts in the seats. Maybe you need to get some more training on how to present. But that's not hard. It's not like you're 50 years away from making a lot of money with this. If you're getting people to register and attend and they're not buying, you are so close to making money, it's ridiculous. Okay, I have students who will use the strategies that I teach and we'll get like 6 people to register and all 6 of them to attend. They'll get like 100% attendance. I'm not kidding. This happens a lot with my students. You know, all the students where, they'll go do a webinar and they'll get 6 people on there and one of them will buy and they'll make $300. And they're like floored. And I'm like, guys, I told you, what I teach you works. Okay, stop being a whip about it. There's nothing that can happen that is a big deal. There really isn't. Either you won't get as many registrants as you hope for, big deal. All you need is a little more training and maybe some more traffic and leads. Or maybe you don't get as many attendees that you want, big deal, just need a little training. Or maybe you don't get as many sales, big deal, you just need some training. Because these are not big deal kind of things. But here's the thing, you've got to get beyond the situation where any slight hit, anything that doesn't work out your way in business is some major deal. I got news for you. As a top earner, stuff comes up all the time. You've got to have some thick skin. Your entire identity and ego should not rest on what happens with a stinking webinar, guys. It's a webinar. My grandfather used to sell fruit in the streets. Okay, he grew up dirt poor, Lower East Side of Manhattan during the Depression. And he started working when he was in elementary school with my great-grandfather. And he would work from 3 in the morning until midnight on Saturdays, starting in 5th grade, selling fruit in the streets. Okay, helping my great-grandfather. That's work. All right, he did that in the dead of winter, working a 21-hour shift when he was like 10 years old. That's work. Guys, I'm telling you, doing webinars where you make thousands of dollars, this is not hard. You just need to learn the skills and get over yourself. Okay? You just got to get over yourself. Stop being a wimp, get in the game and do it. And I look forward to seeing you out there making it happen.